It's time once again for the Overcoming Mediocrity podcast, where we sit down with today's top influencers and entrepreneurs on the rise as they share empowering stories and ninja tips to become the fuel that ignites a positive change in your life and the lives of others. Our guests don't simply coast through life. They don't let difficult situations stop them. They set big goals, keep their eyes on the prize, and they're joining us today to share insider secrets you can use right now to step into your power and live your purpose. Now here's your host, Christy Ruffino.
Are you ready to step into your greatness? Do what you need to do to ensure that the next chapter of your life, your next story, will be written your way. Well, hi, I'm Christy Ruffino, the host of this show and the creator of the Overcoming Mediocrity Project, where everyday women tap into the power of their stories to magnify their message and elevate their brand so they can enjoy a business and life of true significance. I'm happy that you're here because this show is for people like you who are on the edge of change. You're ready to rise up, overcome mediocrity, empower your thoughts, elevate your thinking, and transform your life. Thanks for spending time with me today. Now let's get started. Today's episode is brought to you by the Overcoming Mediocrity Project. Are you ready to share your story in a life-changing book with other success-driven women? Then, what if you could use that book to get speaking gigs, podcast interviews, and possibly a new client or two? Wouldn't that be great? Well, watch out, chicken soup. Here comes Overcoming Mediocrity. Our proven system can transform your struggle story into a powerful signature message and then as one chapter in an Amazon best-selling book. Our process is simple and economical, and it will bring a lot of eyeballs on you, your business, and your big message to the world. We welcome you to apply to join our project. Just visit us at overcomingmediocrity.org and click on the apply button at the top of the page. We'll see you soon. Well, hello and welcome to today's episode of the Overcoming Mediocrity podcast. And I am really excited to be able to introduce you to today's guest. I met her name is Melissa, and I met her, holy moly, probably about 6 or 7 years ago. We will probably be talking about this a little bit in the episode, but we connected at a personal development event, and gosh, I think we were in Florida. I think we kind of met at that event in Florida, and then we met at another event, like an intensive with the same program. And then during that intensive, we were paired up to be accountability partners. We didn't really have a lot in common other than we were both go-getters. We were both like really focused on what we were trying to accomplish. But what was neat about that relationship is we kept connecting. We stayed in touch. We made a decision to be accountability partners, and we've kept that partnership going since then. And every Thursday morning we get together either via phone or text, and we touch base and make sure we're both moving forward. She kind of keeps me in check to make sure that I'm not going off on a tangent with my money issues. You'll find out why in a little bit. And then I don't know what I keep her in check on, but I'm assuming I help her in some way. But it has just been a really, really, really cool time to get to know Melissa. And so I'm going to let you know officially who she is. This is Melissa Laverty. She is an accountant and owner of AccountAbility Tax and Bookkeeping. So for over 20 years, she's been on the job to help hundreds, if not thousands of solopreneurs and family-run businesses navigate the financial aspects of their business. Yeah, that's why I need her help. Yeah. So her goal is and has always been to help her clients keep as much of their money in their pockets. So let's go on and get to the interview so you'll have a chance to meet Melissa as well. Well, welcome, Melissa. I am so excited for you to be joining us today. And more importantly, I am excited that our guests get to meet Melissa Laverty. I had the fortune of meeting you. We were just kind of talking about 5 years ago. And we were actually in the same coaching program together. And we had the fortune of sitting next to each other in one of the programs days that we went through. And we ended up by being accountability partners that day. And it wasn't something that we just did and let it go. We kind of continued that relationship, and we talk every week for 5 years. That's pretty incredible. So I have really appreciated getting to know you. You've been a great mentor for me, and I just am super excited to have you on the show and have the audience get to meet you as well. So welcome, Melissa.
Thank you so much for having me. And I'm so excited and proud of you for doing this. I think it's great that you're getting this info out to your audience.
Yeah. So tell us the story about Melissa. How did you get to be the expert in this area?
So there's always, I often joke that there's two types of people in the world that are self-employed. Ones that have planned it out, sought it out. Maybe they had a business plan and then enacted that business plan. And then there's others that woke up one day being self-employed and saying, how the heck did this happen to me?
Yes.
I would certainly be one of the latter.
Me too. I didn't plan any of this mess. It just happened and I'm trying to keep up with it. So I get you.
Yeah. So I found myself in a situation. I had been working for a bank for a number of years. I was very disappointed with an annual review that I had. I was promised the world and disappointed. So I left that job, not really knowing what I was going to do next. I was lucky enough to get a receptionist position working for my now business partner in a small bookkeeping and tax firm that he had just started. And then he and I have been working together for over 20 years now. So it was a couple of years into that relationship that we decided to take the leap and break away from the situation that he was in and sort of venture out on our own.
Wow.
Been a long, strange trip for sure. I love telling this little story too, because here we were doing taxes. There was a situation, long story, but it was the middle of tax season that we needed to sort of uproot ourselves and find a new office home. And it was about 4 years later after that transition that I was having a conversation with my parents, and my father said something to the effect of, "You own the business?" And I said, "Yes." He said, "Well, how long have you been an owner of that business?" And I said, "It's been about 4 years now." And he said, "Wow, I never knew you were an owner."
Wow.
And that conversation sat with me, and I just said, you know what? He's right. I have said I work at. And I hadn't stepped into that ownership role, even though it had been 4 years.
Wow.
So it really sparked some thought for me. And it was around that 4th or 5th year that I realized that this was in fact a business and not just a job. And I started to treat it as my business.
Your business.
Yeah. And I started to look at it differently and started to treat it differently. Okay. And some of those tidbits I'll be sharing with you in today's content.
Yeah. All right. So you're kind of an accidental owner. You just kind of got into a role that you maybe didn't know what was ahead of you, but you made that decision, and you made that decision right. I like to say that a lot. And now where are you with your business? Because now you have a thriving business with multiple employees and so many clients that you're constantly bringing more people on board. It's been really neat seeing you evolve over the years. And
Thank
so
you.
Share a little bit about what your role looks like now.
It has absolutely morphed over the years. 20 years into it now, we have a team of both bookkeepers and accountants that do a lot of the dirty work. So my role, is really amazing. I love my role now. I run the business, responsible for managing, hiring, all that kinds of fun stuff. But I get to work directly with the clients. Whether that's strategy role or if they're new to us, sort of triaging their situation and getting them on board, getting them to the right people on the team, and just sort of overall oversight of the whole business. So my role has absolutely shifted over the years. Initially I was doing all the bookkeeping. I was doing the majority of the tax returns. And just with growth, you got to find people to fill those positions and continue to grow. So I am thrilled with how things turned out. Did I ever, aspire to be an accountant as a child? No. Am I thrilled that my life has taken this path? Absolutely. Yeah. I've been, the biggest thing I'd say for me is culture. When I worked for the bank, the reason I left was because they didn't treat their employees like human beings. They treated them like assets that were owned by the bank. And in my firm, it's not like that at all. We really are sort of a family here. Family comes first. We make sure that everyone is taken care of, and we have a different culture than I would have if I was really working for anybody else. So I think that's probably my favorite thing about being the boss.
Yeah. Being the boss and having the ability now, because you've scaled your business so well that you can actually work on your business instead of in your business, which gives you the opportunity to look at it from an outside perspective, making sure that you stay focused on the culture, you stay focused on the customers. You're not caught up in the weeds. You're making sure that you can look at it objectively all the time to make sure everything is flowing so well.
Absolutely. The forest looks very different when you take a step back away from your tree. It sure does.
Yeah.
Yes.
But being in the accounting world is very left-brained. And I know you are really good at that, but you still, I know, because I know you do things personally to tap into that right brain. And you kind of come up with a new hobby lately. Share a little bit about what that is, because I think that's so exciting.
Well, I think I've realized recently that I'm a wiggly person. I like to move around. I was hula hooping for many years, and now my hobby is pottery. I think I like things that spin fast. I guess. So I have a pottery wheel and a kiln in my house, and I've been making mugs and plates and saucers, all kinds of fun things, and it's a lot of fun.
Oh. That is so cool. I love that. I love that. I love personally tapping into my creative side. And I love how you've kind of just gotten your business and your life balanced. So you're able to do both. And now everybody's blessed because of that. Your clients are, your employees are, your team, I should say, not employees, your team, and you. So that's amazing. So do you mind hanging out for just a little bit, and we'll take a short break, and then we'll come back and we'll talk a little bit about your 5 sizzling secrets to run a successful business. I'm not sure if I said that exactly correct, but I know you've got some great information to share.
You've got it.
Awesome. I know. You hear us asking you to subscribe, rate, and review, but what does that really mean? Is it really that important? Well, if other podcast hosts are anything like me, they've put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into their show. And personally, I get really discouraged when I have something great to share and no one is listening. Beyond algorithms, ratings and reviews are critical for a show's sustainability. It goes way beyond fanning the flames of our egos, or by getting a little that a girl pat on the back. Reviews create social proof and prove that our show has an engaged and loyal following. So if you like our show, please take a moment to subscribe, rate, and review. And while you're at it, pick up one of our Overcoming Mediocrity books on Amazon. You'll be glad that you did. All right. Well, welcome back. We have Melissa Laverty here, And she has some really great information to share about how to run your own successful business so you too can have more balance in your life and work on your business instead of getting stuck in the weeds. So Melissa, what is it that you want to share with our audience today?
So I mentioned earlier that it was about 4 or 5 years before I really even took ownership of my business. It took a few more years to wrap my head around what should I be doing? What should I be doing differently? What should I be doing next? And so in sharing these 5 tips with you, I'm hoping that you get to your goal faster and that it doesn't take you 20 years to have a scalable business that gives you the freedom that you want to enjoy in your personal life. So my goal is to get you there faster by sharing these tips. Tip number 1 is as simple as it can get. Be honest. Be honest with yourself. Be honest with your clients. Do good work. Do what you say you're going to do. If someone hires you to do a job, do a good job. Just be honest with yourself. I'm a firm believer in what you put out there will come back to you. That has been proven to me again and again over the years. Might not see the direct correlation, but giving to other people, giving of my time, giving of my energy has always come back, usually in spades, usually with a bigger bang for the buck coming back. So be honest with yourself. If you are not, you're going to just drive yourself crazy. If you've taken on more than you can handle, for example, you're going to just work yourself into the ground. Be honest with what you can do. Be honest with what you have available to you for resources.
Yeah, very, very good tip. Because I know sometimes we kind of get, I personally like to overpromise and underdeliver, but we have to be able to look at that objectively. And being honest with ourselves about that process is something that is really important. And I know for me, one of the key lessons I learned a long, long time ago is to be a go-giver and to serve other people. And when you do that, everything will come back to you. So that's a great tip. Thank you.
Yeah, and I also, it makes me think of a specific client that I see every year who's in the trade industry. And every time he calls me every year, he's so anxious. And he says, I like you. We went to high school together. He's known me a long time. He's like, I like you, but every time your name comes up on caller ID, I get the pit in my stomach. I have never called him out on why, but I can guarantee that it's nothing to do with me. It has to do with the fact that he is a contractor and he is not telling me about all of his income. Right? So he's fibbing to me. I can see right through him. But that creates an extra layer of emotions that are now tied to his business and to the finances of his business that is weighing him down. It's going to cause problems for him at some point, even if it's just internally running his business. So it goes that far as well. Claim all your income, be honest, be an honest business owner.
Right. Yeah. There's a lot of layers to honesty. Absolutely.
Yes. So tip number 2, along the same line, be honest with yourself. It follows through. Figure out your special sauce. What are you really, really, really good at? What are your talents? And then what areas do you struggle? What areas of your business or really even of your life are such a chore for you that you put them off and put them off and put them off and never get around to them? Be honest, figure out what works, and then build a team to fill the holes in. I'll give you a little example here. A few years back, I started getting into marketing my business. And being the entrepreneur that I am, felt that I had to do everything myself. Everything had to come from me.
Yeah.
Right down to the font and what colors are we going to choose. And what that equaled 2 years later is I had sent 2 monthly newsletters in the course of 24 months. But I had worried about it probably 340 days of each one of those 2 years. It weighed over my head. I felt I wasn't good enough. I felt I wasn't doing a good job. I couldn't get myself in that creative space.
Yeah, well, it's not your brain, it's not your genius.
It's not my genius. Absolutely. So once I effectively was able to delegate that, to hand that off to someone who it is their special sauce.
Yeah.
We now it's awesome because I can take my thoughts, put them in a bulleted list and send it off, and magically a newsletter will come back a few days later, or a blog will come back a few days later.
Yeah.
Right? And then it's just a matter of reviewing it, making sure my voice is there, tweaking whatever, and it's done. That I promise you that would never have happened if I hadn't let go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. So figuring out what your secret sauce is, doing what you're good at, and hiring out, delegating the rest. And I think a lot of times small business owners or entrepreneurs feel that they can't afford to do that. And being that you're a numbers girl, can you share why they can't afford not to?
Yeah. Here's my favorite answer when people ask that question is, as compared to what?
Right.
Right? How much is it going to cost you to outsource your administrative tasks? What is the dollar associated with that? How many hours did that just free up of your billable time? And how much an hour are you billing? Or how much are you able to make with the time that you've just recovered?
Right.
So it's about the mindset and the time. That's a precious resource. There's only so many minutes in an hour and hours in a day. So if you're going to make top dollar producing whatever your business produces, you want to make sure that the talent is producing as much of that as they can. And if you're the talent, then quit doing administrative tasks. It's costing you loads of money.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Great. Okay, so we've got be honest and figure out your secret sauce. Love it so far.
Yep.
What's next?
The next one is setting goals. And I love this analogy. I'm a big analogy person. Imagine that I am feeling a little bit chubby and I want to lose some weight. If I set a goal to lose weight, that really doesn't mean anything. And a couple months from now, I'm probably still going to be chubby. No change. Maybe I gained 5 pounds.
Right, because you're kind of bummed that you still are the same weight, so you just eat another chocolate donut.
If I were to apply my SMART, which is an acronym, my SMART goal recipe to that same situation, it would look a little different. So SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant or realistic, and time-bound. So let's take that same initiative, I'm chubby and I don't like it, and let's reword the goal and say something to the effect of, I have a vacation coming up in June. I have 3 months to lose 20 pounds. My goal is to lose 20 pounds in 3 months.
By a specific date, yes.
By a specific date. When we are clear on what we want and when we want it, magic happens.
Yeah.
If you imagine that goal and say we're in month 2, I can evaluate my progress. I can weigh myself, I can compare my weight to the goal, and I can tell you if I'm on track.
Right.
I can tell you my efforts are successful or they're not.
Right.
Right? And if they're not successful, what do I need to tweak in order to get there?
Yeah.
So setting SMART goals, and then a little caveat to that is also having a system in place to measure so that you can then track your progress or re-evaluate your goals, perhaps. Maybe they're not high enough. Maybe I want to lose 40 pounds. So setting goals and having a clear system in place to measure them is tip 3.
Perfect. Awesome. And then tip number 4.
Tip 4. and this is the accountant in me shining bright, know your numbers.
Yeah.
Know your numbers. Numbers do not lie, and they're telling you a story. If you look back at the last month or the last year and you read these nerdy reports that come out of your bookkeeping system, you're going to discover some hidden secrets in there. Where are you making money? Where are you bleeding money? Where are your expenses going at the end of the day or at the end of the year? You really want to know what you've got. Oftentimes I see people who are really just judging how they're doing based on their bank balance, and that's not it. No. That's just not it. There's things that you're not seeing if that's your tunnel vision. Projecting forward, even something as simple as, how much are you going to pay in taxes this year? If that's not part of the picture, you're going to be surprised.
Yeah. Okay.
So knowing your numbers, very, very important. There's a lot of really great tools out there to help you accomplish that with very little effort. Our favorite these days, QuickBooks Online. I don't know if we're getting into that kind of detail, but it's a wonderful tool. Lots of entrepreneurs are using it to keep track of their lives, and it's a great tool.
Yeah. Great. All right. Well, we're just rolling through these tips. This is perfect. I know numbers is a thing that I had to learn the hard way, and it's something I'm still struggling with. Honestly, I'm more of a creative person than a numbers person, but I know it's really, really important. So I'm constantly working at that. And I also have help. I've got my system in place. Thank you, Melissa, for helping me get set up with my QuickBooks Online account, because that's been really helpful. All right. And number five, I know, is a biggie, and I feel that you shared a little bit. This is, I feel, for me, one of the most important pieces. So what is number 5?
I really think this one is the one that's going to separate the crowd, right? Those that are going to really, truly thrive and succeed and grow and get bigger and bigger. Those are the ones that are dreaming.
Yes.
I'll leave you with this thought. Everything that exists now was first imagined, right? So imagine a better place. Imagine a better system. Why are you self-employed? Is it that you were doing this job in a different capacity and decided you could do it better if you went out on your own? What else could you be doing better? Where is that next step for you? And to be kind of constantly on a track of improvement. Yeah. I never really have rested. I've never actually been done running or growing my business, right? My favorite analogy, running a business is like having a baby, right? Yeah. When they turn 18, they do not go away. Do not.
True. It's true. You try to throw them out, they keep coming back.
Keep coming back. Yep. And that analogy just rings true. It's different in the early stages of running a business than it is in the college years of running a business. But all the way through, you're going to need a team. You're going to, whether it's your staff, whether it's a coach that you're working with, whether it's your accountant or your lawyer, you need a team in order for you to be able to shine and to succeed.
Yeah.
Make it big.
I know for me, it's so easy as an entrepreneur working in my office, especially more so now during COVID, because we're not out as much as we used to, and we just kind of get in our little routine. But what I did just a few weeks ago, and I've done it a lot, and I want to actually up this practice, is to just get away for a weekend, go somewhere different, whether it's a local hotel or a hotel in a different state or a friend's house somewhere. But when you're away from your regular routine, it allows your brain to be opened up in a different way. Like, I don't feel we can dream as much when we're still surrounded by our normal stuff.
I 100% agree with you.
Yeah.
And for those out there that are wearing multiple hats, maybe they're also in charge of homeschooling or remote learning, in this environment, or even if you're just, you're a parent, you've got kids climbing all over you. Yeah. It's really hard to find yourself in a creative space or in a quiet place where you can just let your mind finish its thoughts. So yeah, if you need to get away to do it, get away to do it for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you can, go with a friend, ideally a business owner friend, right? So that you can have something to talk about. That was one of the other challenges I found over the years is that, you don't have a lot of people to talk to.
Right.
Your friends and your family are not the people to talk to about running a business.
It's speaking different languages, right? And that's why I really enjoy and value our relationship, is because even though we're in completely different businesses, we can speak each other's language in a lot of ways. And so, get a mentor, get an accountability partner, get somebody that can pour into you and you can pour into them from that business perspective in a healthy way, right? And I don't know, there's also a lot of people that we're around that are not necessarily as positive as we need to be. So to have a successful business person on your team is, I feel, a huge, huge asset.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Melissa. I know you have a free gift to give away for our listeners today. Tell us about what that is. I'm so excited for you to share that.
Yeah. So in my line of work, people are always asking, what about this? What about that? What do I need? What do I need? What do I need to do my taxes? So we have put together this all-inclusive, it's only on 2 pages, this all-inclusive checklist of things that you would need in order to prepare your taxes, whether you're working with someone or whether you're doing it yourself. It's a great tool to make sure you're prepared before you sit down and take the dive.
Awesome. All right. Well, you're going to share that with us. We will make sure we have that link in the show notes below, as well as Melissa's website for you to reach out to her and any of her social media platforms that she's going to share with us. But thank you so much, Melissa. It was such a pleasure to have you on the show. I hope you come back again. We'd really love to invite you back as a repeat guest.
I'd love the opportunity. It was great to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, everybody. Well, stay tuned for our next episode and have a blessed rest of the day. Bye-bye for now.
Thank you for listening to the Overcoming Mediocrity podcast, where we believe that everyone can have the business and life of their dreams once they learn the art of mastering their story. Because mastering our stories is the key to everything we want in life. Our stories can either hold us back, or they can become the fuel that ignites a positive change in our life and the lives of others. We can choose. You can choose. Choose to overcome mediocrity with us. Let's achieve greatness together. To learn more, visit overcomingmediocrity.org. And don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review this podcast.